Hello everybody, welcome. Welcome to Knit and Crochet Love. My name is Shannon. If you haven't been here before, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. I do have some new subscribers, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you find some interesting information along your way, same as I am. In this podcast, what I do is I'm trying to teach myself to knit, and I'm trying to improve my crocheting skills. So, and I'm doing that through garments. I'm doing sweaters. So New Year's resolution was to challenge myself to make one knit and one crochet sweater per quarter. So I have 4 quarters to do that. So I've got January, February, March, and today is April 1st. So this is going to begin my 2nd quarter. So I thought I'd jump on here and show you my progress on my 1st quarter and show you what I'm going to introduce for my 2nd quarter. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with that. So my 1st quarter, you guys know that I knit the Creery. Let me show you the patterns that I had chosen for my last quarter. So this is the Creery. It's a purchased pattern through Fiber Expressions, and it is so cute. So that was my very first sweater that I've ever knit. So I learned a lot on it, and let me tell you that one of the main things that I've learned is to really I did a gauge swatch, so I was okay with that. But to check my fiber content and to make sure that my gauge swatched into a fabric that was at least similar to what the sweater was supposed to be. So I made the Creery, and I know that my Creery is not what she designed. But as I was making it, I couldn't bring myself to tear it apart. I was enjoying it so much. And it kind of morphed into a particular item of what I'm going to use it for. So I used a chained cotton, and it was in bulky yarn, because the pattern calls for bulky yarn, and this is what I have. So I'm thinking, I still have to block it. I did block it, but I've also learned that I didn't block it correctly, so I'm going to do it again. The one thing I didn't care for is in this pattern, or in this particular yarn, it shows all the increases, and I don't know that I care for that. And this time I'm going to block it correctly and see if that doesn't help improve some of that. I didn't soak it long enough, so I guess you're supposed to soak it for at least 4 hours and allow the stitches to bloom and expand where they've been twisted and turned, and allow them to settle in. And all I did was basically just did this a quick hand wash, and then I laid it out. So what am I going to do with this? It's a very heavy sweater, which, as you can see from the picture, hers is not a heavy sweater. It's in a bulky yarn, but it is not heavy whatsoever, especially compared to this one. So this is going to be my camping sweater, which I'll be putting to use this month, April. So I'm going camping in April, and this is going to be my campfire sweater. And I think it's going to be just perfect. It's long, much longer than the one that she made. And I did cut the sleeves off a little more because I have a tendency to get really warm, and I don't like anything too awfully long. So this is my Creery. So my first sweater done, and this is my knit, and I did learn a lot making this sweater, especially fiber content counts and proper gauge and all of those things. I've got a few other things that I learned also, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later. Then my second sweater, as you guys know, turned out to be a bust. So I found another one, and I decided to do this drops design. It is the Sandcastle sweater by Drops. It's a free pattern. I made it a little longer than what they called for, and I kind of split the hem a little bit just to give it a little bit of interest in the bottom, because I made it so much longer. Not too much, but I thought that was just kind of cute, just to kind of give it. And I did drop one of the lines down here. Let me show you what this one's supposed to look like according to the pattern. And I feel I did a good job mimicking the exact pattern. So I think it turned out perfect. You guys know that I had a few issues. I learned a lot in this one as well. In this crochet, I learned more about garment making, because when I measured myself and I started it, I made it halfway through. I think I was all the way down to here, in here somewhere. I ended up with these up on top of the sleeve. because of the size that I measured, and it was just too big. So I ended up having to rip it all the way back and start over. But this is mine, and this is theirs. Hopefully you can see that. So I did omit this bottom ridge here. I didn't like it, so I just didn't use it. And that's the beauty of being able to knit and crochet our own clothing, is that we can make it the way we like it. Okay, so with this one, I ended up using, I used a wool-like yarn by Loops and Thread. And it's 100% acrylic. And it was a size 1. So I held 2 together. Size 1 held together. And I used the needle. I was able to get gauge with the needle that was in the pattern. Again, this is a free pattern if you guys decide to make it. Always contact me. I'm going to be putting my email down in the description box so you guys have a way of reaching me. If you did decide, or if you decide to make this and you do get stuck, please just message me and I will be more than happy to help you. I think the biggest thing that I learned on this one is to measure your body properly. So when I was measuring, you measure against the largest part of your body. So whether it be your girls or down on your belly, you need to make sure that you're matching that gauge. So if your belly is larger than your bust, you need to go with that bust size that matches the belly. So when I was measuring, I measured here and I looked down and I got the measurement here. So in one of the books that I had gotten from the library, it tells you to measure and to pull a little snug, not like tight, but snug, and then take the measurement. So I did that, and lo and behold, my sweater fits. And it fits fantastic. Now this wool-like yarn is so squishy and soft, and I love it. So you guys know I do plan on making another one of these. The other thing that I did modify was that when I made the originals, I did the pattern as it was stated. But the baubles just seemed so bulky and thick. So instead of doing a 7-wrap bauble, I did a 5-wrap. And then here, they wanted it to be pretty close a line, basically. So it was do a bauble, knit 1, do a bauble, knit or crochet 2, do a bauble, crochet 1. So they were really close together, and it was just a solid line. And I didn't care for that either, and that was with the 7-wrap as well. So again, I went with the 5-wrap, and I spaced it out with 5 stitches in between. And I did that on both. So those are the modifications. This has not been blocked. At least, yeah, I haven't blocked this one at all. And then, so I still have to block this one, and we'll find out. It already fits. I love it. I've worn it. It's so squishy. It's so soft. I'm trying to get in as much wear as I can now because it's warm. And we're starting to hit spring. It's not warmed up spring yet, but it will be. So I want to be able to use it. So those were my 2 cast-ons for my first quarter. So I finished those, and then as you guys know, I'm just obsessed with the Ranunculus. And the reason I didn't make that my first knit was because I was intimidated by it. If you don't know what the Ranunculus is, it's a pattern by Midori. What is her name? Midori Midori Horse. It's in the Mori Girl style, which is a Japanese style for oversized garments. So these garments are not just oversized, they're also very feminine, and they're not just like putting on like this huge bulky sweater and having it be oversized. It's a very feminine, oversized look. I'm going to look a little more into it. That's just what I've gotten from the pattern and from some of the people that have made it. So when I made the sweater, I did go through, I watched the videos from I can't think of her name, but I'm going to have her listed below and I'll let you guys know. And she walks you through each of the difficult steps. So this was supposed to be my second quarter knit, but today's April 1st and I'm finished. So let me show you. It's still wet. I did actually block this one properly, I hope. And I don't think I was supposed to take it off the blocking while it was still damp, but I just have to show you guys. So this is it. and I think it turned out perfect. It fits perfect. I did not do the really oversized size. I made it more fitted, and I think it turned out perfect. But the amount of learning that came in through this yoke and how to do these particular stitches and the increases and decreases were so much, and it came so fast because I just whizzed through it, that I am going to do a second. Oh, I was going to tell you that too. I'm going to do a second ranunculus for my second quarter knit. So I made this in a yarn that's new to me, and it's called Lyocell. There's some pros and cons to it. I liked it. It's very silky. It's very drapey. It's soft. And I think it's got great stitch definition. The things that I did do that I need to learn to do better was no fault of the yarn. It was my own learning curve. The only thing that it does is sometimes it splits. So sometimes I had to, well, I missed a few, but once I noticed that it was happening, I had to go in and make sure that that split was on the correct loop and put them back together. But other than that, I did love the yarn. I used 3 skeins of this yarn, and it was the Yarn Bee Fresh Haven in Hummus. And I got this yarn on clearance. Oops. So I did 3 balls. Each one of the balls had 180 yards in it. It is a size 4 yarn. I used the size 10 needles. And I didn't do any, I did it exactly as the pattern stated. The neckline that I used was the crocheted cast on for the smaller neckline. Again, that was 180 yards times 3. And let me show you how much yarn I had left. A little bit of yarn chicken going on. That's it. And I also made it much longer, so it was only supposed to be, so you could get away with, depending on the size. I did the number 2. Depending on your size, you could probably get away with 1.5, 1. But I did 3, but I also made it, let's see, you were supposed to repeat the round for 3.25 inches. I did like 10. I'll have to remeasure it, but I did like 10 inches. That's how much more. So I know you'll be able to get away with a lot less yarn, but I'm not a cropped girl. I'm a bigger person, and I don't wear cropped clothing. So I don't know if you can see, but I made it a lot longer. So it probably would have been about here. So I did it much longer. So and that's some more information. So it does not take a lot of yarn, and if you were doing lace, you would be able to do 1 skein and not have any issues and have leftover. So the one thing I did, let's see, I did do is I bought these needles to do my cast on. I'm in love with these needles. These are Chagoo, and they are a size 10 on an 8-inch loop. So once this got too crowded and I had to move to my other needles, I was really disappointed in the size because it felt like I was just knitting with long needles again instead of, and I just switched to these. They're not, it doesn't seem like they're that much longer, but it makes a huge difference in the length. And then maybe even in that little crook, because you're able to get in a lot closer. So, needless to say, I am probably going to invest in the Chagoo shorties. They're pretty spendy, but at some point I've got holidays and birthdays and Christmas and all kinds of stuff coming up, so I'll be able to get my set together. So, what am I doing for my new quarter? Today's April 1st. My new quarter, I am doing another ranunculus. I'm going to do it in a larger size to give it a little bit more room and a little bit more flow. I'm doing it in a smaller gauge what am I making it in? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm doing it in the same gauge. Where is it? That was a 4. I think I ordered my yarn through Drops. And this is one of the yarns that I'm going to be doing my next sandcastle in, but it's a different color. So this is the color of the Ranunculus that I'm going to be doing. And it's in a cotton by Drops. They don't have an actual color, so it is just number 21, color 21. It is in the yarn group B. It's cotton, viscose, and linen. So it should be like perfect for summer. Now this one does not have as much stretch as my other, the last yarn that I used in the hummus. I mean, this does not have a lot of stretch, but it's much silkier and it's got a little bit more. This one doesn't have any. There's just nothing there. So I'm going to go up 1 or 2 sizes. I'm going to knit up a swatch first. I'm 100% into knitting up swatches. So I'll knit up the swatch and then I'll have to let you guys know which size I go with. This one was the number 2, the one with the hummus color. That was the second size. So I'm thinking this one's going to be in a 3 or a 4. And I have plenty of yarn to do it. So after I knit that up, I will have more information on that. So that's going to be my knit one for the quarter. Then for my crochet, I was having the darndest time. For some reason, I just cannot find a crochet sweater that I want to do. Everything is, I guess maybe because I'm learning so many new stitches in the knitting that I'm learning more about garment sizing and the way to form the garment to make it fit better through my crochet, but I'm just not finding the patterns and the styles that I like. There's a couple that I came across that I might do a little later, but it's not summer. So my spring summer knit or crochet is actually going to be just a ribbed tank top. I haven't made one, but let me show you it. It's going to be fairly simple, so I might be making a few of them, depending on how it turns out. But it just looks very comfortable and very wearable. And this is made, oh, I'm going to have to link her below because I do not have her information. So I will link her information below and you guys will see more of it. But let me show you, it's made out of cotton. She did a cotton linen. So I was going to do the same thing, but her cotton linen was a number 3, and my cotton linen is a number 4. And this is in a sugar plum, a smoky plum, but it's a number 4. So I decided not to because I don't want anything real heavy and dense. I want something really flowy, and I could do the adjustments on all the gauges, but I just didn't want to. I kind of want to follow the pattern and get that information done now. So I went with Bambootiful. This is in the color Paprika, and it is a size 3. I did my swatch, and it turned out perfect. And I'm just loving the color. I think it's going to be, with a tan, I'm hoping it's just going to be a really beautiful color. It's kind of more red here. It's more of a, it's not really showing true to color. It's showing a little bit darker than what it actually is. It's a little bit lighter than that. But it is so soft, and I think it's going to be so drapey. So this is what I'm going to do the sagebrush tank top in. So it's going to be that tank top with that color. What do you think? And then my second one, I might do this top again, and I might do it in the smoky plum. I'm really thinking that I want to make some cardigans, and I think these type of tops will look fantastic underneath a cardigan. So that's what my goal is. So I will wear this probably more around the house, things like that. But if I wear it out, it'll have a cardigan and it'll cover my shoulders and arms. So that's what I've got going to be casting on for April. And then the one other thing about that pattern is that it calls for number 7, which is a 4.5. So you do need the 4.5 number 7 hook to get gauge, unless you do a thicker yarn and then you can adjust your gauges. My regular set only came, I started panicking last night. My regular set only comes in a 4.25, which is a G, and then it jumped up to a 5, which is an H. So I was getting ready to go online and order one, and then I remembered that my daughter had gifted me a set of hooks, and the 7 was right there in the middle. So I did not have to go and buy a hook. So that's fantastic. So next week I'll show you guys my progress on those. Hopefully I'll be able to wear it. My sweater is wet. I got to get it back out there, block it, get it blocked and laid out so it doesn't come undone. A few of the things that I will be working on or looking up is, I don't know if you can see this, but when I joined my yarn, I did a Russian join. So it made the yarn too thick, and it really stands out in this knitted fabric. I think the crochet with the knots, it doesn't stand out as much, but you can really see each of my joins, which I didn't really notice until I blocked it, or until I soaked it, and then it really popped. So that'll be something I'm going to be fixing or working on. I'm still going to have to be working on some gauge issues. I have a little bit of a loose one in there, and I'm not sure how to fix that other than trying to weave it backwards and and spread it out. Then there was one other thing. No, that's part of the pattern. I guess it's going to be just paying attention to placement. So I think on a couple of these, I missed the hole. It was supposed to be here, and somehow I messed that up. And I think it might have been when I went back and I tried to fix something that was down further. And so I'll be paying attention to that. And then I'm going to do, so this has 2 neck size cast on. So this again is the smaller cast on neck. So it is the crocheted cast on. So I'm going to do the larger one on my next one. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger and a little bit more flowy for, this is going to be nice and warm for spring. And then my next one's going to be cotton, nice cotton and loose, more Maury Girl style, just not as big as her actual sweaters. So that's where I'm at. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have any suggestions or ideas on crochet sweaters, if you guys have seen any that you are interested in or that you think I should look at, I would appreciate it if you put them in the links in the comments, because I've been just scouring for the last, well, I've been looking, but since I finished my other crochet sweater, but I've really been trying to scour for the last 2 days, and I can't find anything that I've fallen in love with. There is a couple patterns, but you have to buy like a magazine to get to those patterns, and I'm not sure how that works. So I may have to do that, and then I may have to just discover a few designers that I really like their style and go in and buy their patterns. I do not have a problem buying the patterns. In fact, I think I've bought all my patterns. I think I was gifted the Creery on one of her giveaways, but I've purchased all. Oh, and I take that back, because my drops design was free, but I did purchase the pattern that I didn't use before that. So I do not have a problem purchasing the patterns. Even if they don't work out, I don't have a problem supporting the designers. I'm not a designer. I would like to be a designer. I've designed many things throughout the years, but I've just never written them down or taken the time to learn how to design something. But maybe that'll change over the years after I get more comfortable on learning the stitches and how to put things together. But I think that's it for this one. Remember, I do Things We're Making Thursdays on Thursdays, and then you're welcome to join me there. Otherwise, next week I will have another update on my my projects and let you know if I found anything to supplement, because I'll probably end up finishing up that tank top pretty quickly. I'm not going to be in a rush for either one, because like I said, had plenty of time in the quarter to get both of those done. And I do have some other projects. We're making a wrap on our things we're making Thursday. So I'll be putting some time into that. And then we have Christmas, and I like to make handmade gifts. So I'm thinking if this year I won't be able to sit down for the last 2 months of the year and crank them out because I was having surgery last year. So I need to start making now. So the wrap will be a Christmas gift, and then I'll probably make a few more and I'll share them with you here as well. So, okay, I've said this a couple times. I'm going to say goodbye. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe the video. So like the video, subscribe if you like the content. And if you're interested in following me, I would appreciate it. I don't have people within my community personally, you know, to reach out to. So this is my community. You guys are my community. You guys are my yarny peeps. So I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you coming in and letting me know your ideas. In fact, my chagoos were a subscriber recommendation. I love them, and I can't thank her enough. And what else? That's about it. I will see you guys next week for this type of a podcast. And I will see you Thursday for Things We're Making Thursday. Hope you join me over there and decide to make the wrap with me. My last video on that, I'll link it. My last video tells you what the pattern is. So take a peek at that and then see if you guys want to join me in that. And like I said, I'm going to put my contact information in the comments because I've had some comments on some of my sweaters and their chart type sweater on the sandcastle. So if you guys run into any problems making that, please just comment and let me know or reach out through my Gmail, and I would love to help you guys in that. All right, you guys take care.